we first started noticing, the by the book milestones not quite being there, that he might be a little behind. Of course, we get the input from friends and family. Just a boy, give it time, come around. But it kind of went beyond that into just, anxiety for him and for us on not being able to identify, when he's hurting or is he just uncomfortable. Those things began to be a big stress.
Probably by 2, he had about 5 words, and I think mama was his first word, and then he kept, he would gain a few and then he would lose a few, and by the time he was 3, he had just a handful of words, but so frustrating because again, he couldn't communicate with us.
Gosh, when we began to have concerns, and thankfully we had some very honest friends. We were at a community group of the church, and one of our friends, there was a hard conversation, but had some experience with some of that. Her husband was a counselor, and she had her husband kind of spend some time with Silas, and she said, hey, you guys, you may want to have Silas evaluated.
He was very anxious, and I think he was constantly fearful that we were going to leave him, with whether it was going to church or, I was a stay-at-home mother, and so it was really 100% of his time with me unless we were at church. Because he had a harder time communicating, we felt like we couldn't even leave him with other people either, even with sitters. We could leave him with family, but that was pretty much it. And so school was a big adjustment.
We also had some other friends that, as we started seeking help, very quickly pointed us towards Turn Center, told us about PPCD program in the local schools.
So Silas started coming when he, right before his 3rd birthday. I think he was, just about to turn 3. He had maybe 20 words. Didn't have any way to communicate. He was frustrated. He would cry. He would have meltdowns, things like that. And his parents were just looking for help to figure out how to get him to communicate.
Hours and of anxiety when it came to food or sleep or getting out the door, of just lots of pointing and groaning and whining that we didn't know how to interpret.
We started seeing progress very quickly with Silas. His family bought in immediately, and as soon as I would tell them, I need you to work on this at home, they did it, and they did it every week, and they would come back to me and say, hey, this was great, this is helpful, this was really hard.
First day that I worked, we started working with Stephanie. One thing that she had said was, here's what we did in therapy today, and here is what you can do at home. And that was so empowering to me.
We had no idea of a goal that we could hope for. We didn't know where to set sights, what kind of expectations could we place on our child. And there was a day that Silas said, I'm sorry, Dad, for whatever that was. He said, I'll not do it again. And that was a huge moment for me, because I'm like, he can understand and I can communicate with him. That the relief that was just, that was tremendous for me.
Well, I was excited to do this job because after I got to know the staff and got to observe a little bit, I realized that the children are at the heart of everything that's done in this building. Every decision that's made, every process, they keep the children and the families in mind, and I definitely wanted to be part of that. Turn Center is unique in that we do focus on the child, but we're very cognizant of what that means to the family. The staff is incredibly welcoming and empathetic, and just really want to incorporate any new people bring them into the culture and make them feel at home, because again, that they know there's just this underlying feeling or knowledge that that's what in the end makes Turn Center so special, and that translates to the children and the families that we serve.
I love just working with the kids. I love just doing my part to help them succeed in whatever that looks like in their life.
If we had a week that the schedule was off, Silas would know and be disappointed that he couldn't see Tom or couldn't see Stephanie. Or if we'd have a sickness or something like that, that would be a point of disappointment, which is always a good sign.
I mean, imagine not being able to tell somebody that you want a drink, or that your head hurts, or that you want this toy to play with, or you want this on TV. He didn't have that ability, and now he can advocate for himself, and he can celebrate with people, and he can comment, and he can join in on a conversation, and he gets to be a part of everything going on around him, and he didn't have that luxury before.
Nothing short of miracles happens in this building. We see children who were never supposed to walk, or children who couldn't talk, and they're 6 years old and they just start talking with the help of our incredibly talented therapist, of course. But it hit me that that is a miracle. If you don't see that as a miracle, I don't think you believe in miracles.
From day one at Turn Center, they were able to tell us that we could receive financial assistance if we needed it, and immediately we qualified for it. And then about 2 years ago, Stuart was diagnosed with prostate cancer. It was very unexpected. He didn't show any signs or symptoms, thankfully, but it was a really scary time, mentally, emotionally, and financially, obviously. And Turn Center right away let us know that it didn't matter what we were going through. Finances should never be an issue for us.
There's never a time when our questions weren't immediately addressed or sent to the right person, and counseling offered. And we always felt like we had an open line to everyone.
Weekly thing that he has to do. He gets to go home and play and do the things that he wants to do. And so episodic care has been a really good option for Silas, because we've got to get him to make a lot of progress, and now we get to take a break and he gets to go and live in that progress. And when he needs help again, he'll come back.
Having somebody say, "We see what you're seeing," and you are right as a parent to be concerned over these signs, and here's a plan to do something about it. And we don't know what the results of that plan will be. We don't know what the ability of this child is, but we believe it's worth working for, and we're hopeful.
I think so many times people will say things to try to encourage you, of saying, hey, he's a boy, or he's your first child. It's not that big of a deal. You just need to wait it out whenever you're struggling at home. And life seems chaotic, and then people at Turn Center, they come around you and just say, hey, we see what you're seeing. It is reason to be concerned. There is reason to intervene, and let us come alongside you and walk with you in that. And that was such a huge relief to have people say, let's walk through this together.
There are a lot of places that you can donate money. There are a lot of causes to give, but you can look at Silas and see that your donations mean something very real. Silas got to this point not because we had resources to get him there. But your donations, guy, gave us the opportunity to help our child.